The stage is set for some incredible clashes at the African Cup of Nations round of 16. Here we go. 8 matches, 16 teams. We've eliminated 8 teams from the competition already, including 3 massive favourites in Ghana, Algeria and Tunisia. Now, let's see what happens in these incredible clashes. We've seen so many surprises already, so do not write anyone off. I'll be trying to predict all 8 games in the round of 16s today. I'm probably going to look like a mug, but let's see what's going on. First game, it is Angola and Namibia, 2 unlikely round of 16 teams. 2 teams who did not expect to be here when the draws were set and when everything was fully ready. No one thought that these 2 teams would be here, and yet they are. Namibia qualifying from 3rd place after their emphatic 1-0 win in the first round against Tunisia, which got them enough points. And then they managed to nick a draw on final day as well against Mali. Man, these guys have been a real shock. They've been a real surprise. They're ranked 115th in the world. They don't have any well-known superstars, yet they got the job done and they're playing some nice football. Up against them is Angola, who absolutely took this African Cup of Nations so far by storm. They could be one of the best teams up there, of the unlikely ones, up there with your Cape Verdes and your Equatorial Guineas. They topped their group with Algeria and Burkina Faso, finishing undefeated on 7 points, managing to draw to Algeria and beat the Burkina Faso 2-0. Man, these guys are unreal. Ranked 117th in the world, also with no real superstars. They try and keep games close, right? They're really, right? This is why the game against Mauritania shocked me. It ended up being 3-2. But they are 0-0, 1-0 merchants. And they're going to keep it extremely close. I feel like their team has more talent than Namibia. It's going to be about who wants it more. And I feel like Angola are just going to nick it 1-0 and progress to the quarterfinals, which would be an incredible achievement. It would be an incredible achievement for either of these teams to get through. So we're going to see one very unlikely team minimum in the quarterfinal. Moving on to the next one, the game, the winner will draw against the winner of this game, right? They're going to go up against each other in the quarterfinals. We're talking about, obviously, Nigeria versus Cameroon. 2, you'd look at it as massive countries in Africa in football, but 2 fallen giants who are no longer what they once used to be, who have very talented squads, but poor managers behind and the coaching staff and everything, right? Don't play good style of football. So I feel like it's going to be interesting to see who wins this one. And also, one thing to point out is the other side of the bracket, right, where you got your Senegals, your Egypt, is much, I would say, stronger than the side that Nigeria, Cameroon are. So we could potentially see one of these 2 teams get into the semi-finals, which would just be ridiculous, right, because of the amount of quality in here. I think Nigeria go into this as favourites, and looking at the draw, they must make the semi-finals. Otherwise, I would say it's certainly a failure. They cannot not make the semi-finals with the draw that they have at their hands now, and I feel like they will beat the Cameroon. I feel like this will be a good game. I feel like both defences aren't really... I mean, Nigeria, they don't... As I've said before, I don't like Jose Peseiro. I don't think he's a very good manager. Cameroon behind the scenes, though, as well. Like Rigobert's song, also no tactics, just go for it. I think this is going to be a good game. I think it's going to be entertainment, and I feel like Nigeria are going to go away with a 2-1 win. They have the slight edge, but that doesn't mean much because Cameroon, bro, at this tournament, it hasn't been good. If it wasn't for that Gambia capitulation at the end, oh my God, Cameroon wouldn't even be here, right? And they somehow also managed to get over Guinea because of the goal difference. So now they're coming up against Nigeria, who finished 2nd in their group behind Equatorial Guinea. They themselves got very lucky on the final day. 1-0 to Guinea-Bissau only because of an own goal. If it wasn't for that, who knows if they've even been here in this position. But I think they'll get away with a 2-1 win and progress to the quarterfinals. Next up, the Battle of the Guineas. It's Guinea versus Equatorial Guinea. Now, Guinea finished 3rd in their group in what was looked at as the group of death with Senegal, Cameroon and Gambia. They finished 3rd in that, same on points as the Cameroonians, but a slightly worse goal differential. They weren't too bad, right? On final day against Senegal, final match day, they kept it close, right? Just 2-0, goal off a set piece from Sek, the centre-back, and then a late goal from Ilman and Dai. But they kept it close. It was not a bad performance. Against Cameroon, they were the better team, and then they beat Gambia as well, 1-0. And Equatorial Guinea, man. Guys, can we just get some appreciation for this country? They are top. They finished top of their group on 7 points with a +6 goal difference with the Ivory Coast and Nigeria in their group. They beat the Ivory Coast 4-0. This is not a joke. Emilio Nsue is legit. That man is gonna... He could go crazy. Top goal scorer of this tournament is an unlikely hero story, just like we're seeing in the Asian Cup with Ayman Hussein. That is what Emilio Nsue is doing at Afcon, and this is going to be a great game. This is going to be a great game. Equatorial Guinea have impressed me so much. They are looking at the draw saying that they could potentially, right? Because I think going into this game against Guinea, they'll fancy themselves, and then a potential win, and they're up against an Egypt or DR Congo. They'll fancy themselves. They will fancy themselves, and if they keep playing like they did in the groups, who knows? Maybe even a semi-finals. I feel like they will get through this, but I feel like it will be close. Guinea are a good side. I feel like it's going to go... I think it's going to go down to the wire. 1-1 in normal time. We go to extra time, nothing happens. And on penalties, Equatorial Guinea are going to secure the win and move into the quarterfinals. That is what's going to happen. I do expect Emilio Nsue to score. Man is such a baller. 34 years old, playing as a right back for his club. Just appreciate him, man. For the national team, it's scary. And next up, we have got the game where the winners will face again is Egypt and DR Congo. This is going to be a great game. This is going to be an unbelievable game. Egypt, you going into this tournament, no one would have expected the fact that this team would go 3 games in the group, drawing 2-2. You'd expect them to be boring, get those 1-0, 0-0 results, and progress through. 3 times 2-2. No Mo Salah now. They've got Omar Marmoush. They've got Mohamed up front. I think Mustafa Mohamed or whatever. Good team, solid team, right? I think the manager's good. Rui Vitória, I think he's solid. I feel like Egypt have been unlucky at times, right? I feel like against Ghana they were much the better team. Against Cape Verde they probably should have won, right? And on first day against Mozambique they also dominated there. They just haven't been able to convert the win into wins. I feel like against DR Congo, I feel like it's going to be great. I feel like DR Congo have been an exciting team to watch, right? Obviously, they drew to the Moroccans, they drew to the Zambians, and then they drew as well to who was it? The last team in their group, was it? Now I can't remember. It was Tanzania, of course. They drew so 3 draws, but they've looked entertaining. They've looked attacking. Man, it's 2 teams that drew 3 times in the group. I feel like it's going to be a draw. I feel like Egypt 2, DR Congo 2, and we're going to penalties. And you know what happened at the last Afcon? Egypt won their games on penalties. Except the final. They're going to do it again. They're going to beat the DR Congo on penalties. I feel like DR Congo will be good. I feel like they're a very good side with a lot of potential. But the Egyptians, man, they're strong. They are strong. Don't underestimate them just because they didn't do as well in the groups as they would have hoped. Next up, a clash of 2 very unlikely underdogs again. It is the Cape Verde with the Man United flop Bebe up front, who is having an incredible tournament up against Mauritania, who somehow beat Algeria to make it through. Oh my gosh, man. What this tournament can bring. And Cape Verde versus Mauritania is sure going to be one for the ages, because whichever team wins, it's going to be a big day for them. It's going to be a very big day for them. And I feel like Cape Verde have a better team. The performance, right? They beat Ghana. They drew to Egypt. They're a very good side. Mauritania, yes, they're good and they showed some good performances, man. But Cape Verde, they've looked dominating. And when they beat Mozambique, they smashed them 3-0. I feel like Cape Verde, I think it'll be close. I feel like Mauritania will try and maybe sit back a little bit, hit them on the counter, but I think Cape Verde will win 1-0. I just think, man, they've performed so well at this tournament. To top that group is unbelievable. And next up, we're going to Senegal versus the Ivory Coast. What is going on here? The Ivory Coast sacked their manager before it was confirmed whether or not they were staying in the tournament or going out. After Zambia or Tanzania failed to pick up points on the final, well, failed to get a win on final day. Ivory Coast are in the round of 16 now, without a manager. I think it'll be their assistant that probably takes over. And they're up against Senegal, one of the biggest favourites for this tournament. And Ivory Coast were one of the favourites to win the tournament at the start. Then things went well after match day 1. Then they lost to Nigeria. They got very unlucky. They should have won that. Then a complete capitulation at the hands of Equatorial Guinea. And now they find themselves in this position where they have to play the Senegalese, who have been absolutely incredible. I feel like, man, we watched their game, right, on the live stream against Guinea. Bro, I feel like that midfield of Sarr, Gay, and Mendy, I feel like it's been brilliant. I think Sadio Mane has looked like the old Sadio Mane. I've been really impressed with the right back, Crepin Diatta. I I feel like man balled out. As the left back as well, right? Jacobs, also Monaco, right? 2 Monaco fullbacks, and they were absolutely balling. Ilman and Dye came on, made a difference as well. They're absolutely cooking. But don't underestimate the Ivory Coast. If the correct players start, if you go for your Boga, your Crasso, your Bamba, whoever, right, those good players, no Nicolas Pepes or anything, if Ousmane Diamonde's in the lineup, man, this is going to be a close game. And Ivory Coast, also Seko Fofana, man, that guy is such a baller. His movement on the ball, his turning, his pace, his power, he's incredible. I feel like it's going to be close. I feel like it's going to be a 1-1 draw. I feel like Senegal nick it 2-1 in extra time. I feel like it's going to be scenes. I feel like it's going to be carnage. I feel like it's going to be a game for the ages. Moving on to the next game, which is between Mali and Burkina Faso. Now, Mali topped their group with Tunisia. They weren't the favourites, but they did it. They played very attractive football. They've got a squad of great players. Haidara, Basuma, up front, Lassine Sinayoko. I feel like he's unbelievable. And also the other striker, do not underestimate his strike partner, his partner in crime, Sekou Koita, who I feel like has also been fairly good. And then the right back, Hamari Traore, he's brilliant. I feel like their manager's been playing, right, he's been trying to implement this very nice, almost Klopp-style attacking football, right? I feel like it's been brilliant from Mali. I feel like their issue is the fact that they cannot convert it into goals. They're creating chances, they're not finishing their dinner, but, like, first game, obviously, they beat South Africa 2-0, and then against Tunisia, they did their job, right? They came away with a draw, they dominated that game, they probably should have won, and then against Namibia, they were already through, they still should have won that, and they'll be fine now. Against Burkina Faso, who haven't looked incredible, right? I mean, speaking of Burkina Faso, they literally, right, first game, last-minute penalty to win it against Mauritania, like, it was unlucky for the Mauritanians because they probably could have deserved a minimum point there, maybe even the win. Then they drew to Algeria where, yeah, I mean, Algeria got lucky, right? They got a last-minute winner, but they were the better side, right? They were the better side over 90 minutes, and then they lost to Angola. I don't think Burkina Faso were all that, and I think that Mali are going to get a very nice routine win. I feel like they are my underdog to potentially do well. They could even beat a Senegal in the quarterfinals, who knows? They are business, and they're going to win against Burkina Faso 2-0. Moving into the last game, which is Morocco and South Africa. Morocco now have to make the final. It's very simple. It's as simple as that. If they don't, it is a flop. They've got South Africa in the round of 16, quarterfinals, a game between Cape Verde and Mauritania potentially, and the semis in either Nigeria, Cameroon, Angola, or Namibia. If Morocco do not make the finals, it is a disaster, right? And that's no disrespect to any of these teams, but with Morocco's expectation, with their level of squad, their level of manager, and just the fact of how good they are, they have to be making the finals, and there's immense pressure on them to do so, and they will beat South Africa. I feel like it's going to be close. South Africa will try and sit back, but Morocco will get it 2-1. Right, thank you guys for watching this video. Let me know if you disagree on anything. I will probably end up looking like a mug, but let's see soon.